So I thought I'd talk a bit about a demographic that I couldn't be violating any sort of privileged information trust because this demographic was, the demographic of patients was so broadly applied that to get into the nitty gritty, um, you have when you watch Roger making judgments of staff characteristics, um, from as general as tremendously personal, in common sense would have you realize, but nonetheless, you know, but better if he would be a critic of one's professional role, uh, and related topics to that. Now you have considerations like, given what's already been mentioned about the placebo effect, you have what happens when this rule that says that a person cannot be made to undergo scientific medical experimentation or treatment without his or her free consent. Now, what if a person doesn't know? What if you did a test where you got together a group of 20 people, 10 people who knew that right, and 10 people who didn't know that right, and you had guards proceed to use force to forcefully inject active substances, active sedatives, active high rebate anti-schizophrenia sedatives into all 20 of them. Do you imagine that the 10 who were aware of the right would argue their points while fitting less? Do you think that there would be a fit reaction from those who haven't been informed of the right but don't want the medication? Um, is it spooky that uh, none of these people are talked to about side effects, or though it should be mandatory, and though I would think should be twice as mandatory in the event that you're going to attempt to force unconsensual injections. Um, the person would need to know, and if they were on just one other medicinal item, then they would need to know what side effects are known possibilities in relation to the forced medicine, or else you're introducing the prospect of them confusing side effects to medicines that they are on that could not have possibly been the cause of those particular effects. So consumer medical information leaflets, or CMIs, what they were called. And yeah, so it's interesting that it seems the more ignorant a person is kept in regards to knowledge and information relevant to them in their circumstance, in addition to the more shamed and use of force against them, the more inclined fitting is, and what gets chalked off. And that's not even touching on what Roger means by fitting. He's got something more of a he's got something more of a Tesla take on the whole thing. Like it were his prestige. So yeah, it's pretty spooky. I know a continent where they were thinking of saying, well, we have a list of side effects of various illnesses that are part of an ensemble of our initiative in the war on drugs in the borders of this continent, and so you know, we've agreed with other places in that creating mental disorders, saying the mental disorders are caused by the drugs you want driven out of popularity despite their safetiness. There are things you can do to represent and ensure representation of those substances as not just unsafe, but somehow becoming more unsafe as time passes, like fashion, really. Drugs are in fashion. I mean, when you think about it, drugs have saved more lives than eating food and drinking fluids. And that is the beauty of pharmacy. But you see, if you're forcefully injecting someone and you don't tell them the side effects, and they're on anything else, then their ignorance of knowledge of the side effects, plus any one of the rest of the substances they're on, they might wind up reporting something that is both good for them and not generating the particular side effects that they find truly negatively life impacting, and then end up, because of secrecy and non-disclosure, having a cancellation applied to an item that is of significant benefit. So, I think if the situation is that you've taken someone captive, and you're surrounded them with people who have various types of behavior patterns that don't show that they have an equal appreciation for the Fantastic Four. And then you were to be forcefully injected with a substance without even being told what type of mind you are thought to have, or have notes read out to you, or be allowed to enter into an argument or a discussion. You absolutely should have the side effects read out to you, or the staff become, I would argue that they violate the Hippocratic Oath at a number of stages. The environment that you're detained in, you aren't choosing to go to. There's no voluntary admissions to the psych ward anymore. So suddenly the claim that police or drug dealers or pharmacists are impersonating phone calls aren't so. Because if there are no voluntary admissions, the there's prep that goes into admissions. So what's that prep going to be? Eyes on you where? Eyes on you at your home, at your local shop. And whatever. You can respectfully obey, well, respectfully represent those four rights. Religion is not one that you have to. And it's still enough for religious believers in whatever profession to think, oh, there's something up with this one. There's something up with this one. Something up with this one. There's got to be. And yet not ask direct questions when they've got your company. No, it's yeah, it's quite disgusting. But side effects that can affect the heart, and brought back what's my chest pointing almost as bad as it was when I was a teen. I'm so angry about that. But what was the real twist is that I know that this initiative occurred at the nomination of my employer in a one-sided discussion. My previous employer, a one-sided discussion, and a lot stayed one-sided. Including this, disclose the side effects now, please. I do believe that that this thought devoted to how to find or estimate ways to use the placebo effect have it working in favor of healthcare. So we're giving a consumer medical information leaflet to every single person over every single purchase. It makes no sense if a person seems very used to or accustomed to and satisfied with the medication and has taken it for some time. It's therefore going to make very little sense to offer them an information leaflet. There are some types of people who will sort of neurotic, in the sense that they'll be like, "Oh, do you think I have this side effect here?" And then they'll go through a list. And so it's not, but it's certainly not true that people are being kept more safe than not by having side effect lists kept away from them. The conflation of a side effect with that of any other medication that they are on is a serious point of danger. There's also the fact that is it moral to try and bend the placebo effect as though it were a compound cream in your dispensary? What if they miscredit to their what if they miscredit their own imaginations to your prescriptions? But then that's exactly what you want in saying you may want to poach the placebo effect to make it work for your interests. Well, that's rather mean, don't you think? This is a mask called Phantom of the Freemason soap opera, and I'm not wearing it. It's obviously a component filtered to video chat. So remember, I'm not wearing it. Not anymore. Not anymore. But there's still time if you would like the less expensive brand of. So, an addendum to discussing the truth. And I still like the X-Files slogan, "The truth is out there," because really, my first criticism, as I pointed out in the prior recording, is that if you just take on board the true or actual facts of a case, as stipulated by, and so Nietzsche even challenged the use of the word fact. He said there are no facts, only interpretations. Now, how do we contend with that statement? However, as we assemble, it's wise to consult multiple sources on similar types of problems and questions, and that means you assemble a developed sense of the case, and that becomes your truth. So the truth always reduces to anthropomorphic, which is a mind, anthropomorphic relativism. And I encourage the consultation of as many sources as you'd like and can on any matter of inquiry that is important. That's why I like. So I think one question that I think is very interesting is that we've got this shit going on where, you can put forward a question like, well, if hearing voices is a psych illness, but the voices aren't being measured in a human brain with a particular type of brain activity scanning apparatus, then it's not a scientific claim to say that a person is sick due to hearing voices. It's akin to punishing them for having ears. And factors like that of the Stanford prison experiment, or the experiment where two graduates with masters in psychology omitted themselves in guise of their grades in academia, and within a few days had copped about 7 different psychiatric diagnoses, were permitted to leave when they tried to leave, and had to say, look, we're psych graduates, here are our qualifications, and here's the number for our university dean, and then get discharged. It says a lot. The placebo effect is pretty huge if it can affect as great a percentage as 30% responding to a non-active substance, and 70% reporting their responses to the active substance. So, and then they come out saying this drug had a 30% success rate in the placebo, which means no active ingredient was given, but the symptoms that the drug is intended to relieve were relieved, according to the feedback reports from 30% of the people who undertook the test, despite the fact that 100% of the people that took the test had no idea whether they were being given an active substance or not. So I'm upset that existential psychologists and psychoanalysts have been ignored, given that all this advanced tech is it available or isn't it? Nonetheless, something that could be done in the meantime is not insisting that Sigmund Freud's The Future of an Illusion or the interpretation of dreams are the last two the last two places to seek shelter. You've got Jacques Derrida, the existential psychoanalyst, Rollo May, Professor Steven Pinker. All of these people who are very good, and at least reading their ideas could be of some benefit to the profession. I think, therefore, you am watching my fucking phone again. Yeah, I'm looking at you.